Please welcome Executive Vice President of Human Resources and Corporate Affairs, Astrazeneca, Lynn Tatro.
Good evening. My name is Lynn Tatro, and I'm proud to serve as a member of the global executive team of Astrazeneca. And I'm truly honored to be here tonight to present Women's Way's 2012 Lucretia Mott Award. Astrazeneca is honored and delighted to return as the presenting sponsor of Women's Way's 35th Annual Powerful Voice Awards. As one of the world's leading biopharmaceutical companies, our business is focused on turning good ideas into innovative, effective medicines that help people lead healthier lives. Tonight, I am honored to present the 2012 Lucretia Mott Award to Eve Ensler. Eve is a Tony Award-winning playwright, performer, activist, and founder of V-Day, a global activist movement to end violence against women and girls, which has raised over $90 million. Eve's professional and personal passions directly Women's Way. Eve's fierce dedication to educating people about the reality of violence against women and girls has led to a growing movement touching billions of people worldwide and giving survivors the strength to break their silence and tell their stories. Her passion, integrity, and courage combined to make her an irresistible figure in the global movement to end violence against women and girls. She is a uniquely inspirational figure with a profound personal narrative. Please join me in welcoming Eve Ensler to receive the 2012 Lucretia Mott Award.
Hi, everyone. Any vaginas in the house? Any vagina-friendly men in the house? Okay. I am so honored to receive this award. And I've been thinking and reading a lot about Lucretia Mott, and I'm even more honored after rereading and thinking about her, to think of a woman who was not only an abolitionist, but a feminist, and understood the integration and the intersectional nature of freedom and liberation. I am particularly honored and very moved to be here at the 35th anniversary of Women's Way. I'm moved by your work, moved by your daily dedication to the empowerment and transformation of women, moved by your creativity and the ways you have used and found resources to fund women and create new visions and possibilities for and by women. Moved that Women's Way exists in the world and that groups like Women's Way exist in the world. And when I was watching the video, I just immediately started crying, which I find myself doing a lot lately, when people speak the truth and when people feel grateful. Those are two things that make me cry a lot. And I was particularly moved to the idea of investing in people before you know who they are or what they're going to be, but that you trust women who have a vision and a passion. I'm moved by all the groups that have grown up out of urgent necessity that come from women on the ground who are what we call in V-Day vagina warriors. Women who have experienced or witnessed violence, neglect, oppression, injustice, and rather than accepting it or being destroyed by it or inflicting it on others, they feel it, grieve it, rage at it, and then take their rage and devote their lives to making sure the violence doesn't happen to anyone else. I know this room is filled with vagina warriors. Vagina warriors are the most powerful, invisible, underpaid, unrecognized force for good in the world. women and some men who work every day in communities to turn deprivation into abundance, injustice to freedom, and pain to power. My life is blessed in many ways. First of all, I'm alive. And for those of you who are here who have lived past cancer, every single day that you live after you've had cancer is unbelievable. It's a joy. I get to wake up. That's the first good news. I get to breathe. That's the second good news. And then I get to begin with daylight and sky and birds and sun, and then there's espresso, and the day goes on. Each thing is an amazing blessing. I get to travel the world talking about vaginas, thinking about vaginas, fighting with vaginas for the freedom and safety and revolution of other vaginas. Life doesn't get better than that. One of the blessings of my life is to know and meet vagina warriors everywhere on the planet. The women who actually hold the human species together and weave their energy and time and care into centers and hospitals and schools and homes and courts and playgrounds. We are living in very extreme times. On the verge, it seems, of the beginning of the new paradigm or headed towards a most terrifying future. I know that the liberation of women will be what determines the future. Period. It will be the liberation of women. Our empowerment economically, emotionally, physically, our safety, our sense of worthiness and self-esteem, our control over our bodies and destinies will chart the direction. This year we have seen mad attacks on women. Hard to believe that we are still here. Attempts to eradicate Planned Parenthood, the great health care provider to poor and working women. Attempts to reduce women's access to abortion care. Attempts to redefine rape, to cut $1 billion to low-income pregnant women, mothers, babies, children. Attempts to eliminate funding for family planning. Attempts to intimidate women through verbal attacks, name-calling, and threats of transvaginal wands. A real push to get women out of the workplace and back in the house. These attacks are orchestrated by a few well-funded, well-organized, very loud patriarchs. But I know they do not represent the majority of the people in this country. They do not. In fact, the very strong and immediate outcry of women across America is an indication that women will never accept this. The genie is out of the bottle, dudes, and you will never get us back in. I know there is a huge movement of women in this country who know that they are entitled to birth control, access to abortion, equal pay for equal worth, child care, and protection from violence. I know because I just finished the last V-Tour of America and the world. And for those of you who don't know what V-Day is or what a V-Tour is, V-Day is a global movement to end violence against women and girls. This year, there were 5,400 events in 1,800 places on the planet. Those are productions of the Vagina Monologues and other pieces, plays about prison, plays about violence, that are produced by local activists in individual communities and raise money for local groups that work to end violence in women and girls in those communities. Then there are huge projects that we support in countries where they're not able to put on the monologues or where they need extra help, places like Afghanistan and Pakistan and Haiti and Kenya and Congo and others. This year, there were V-Days in all 50 states. They were held in centers, in town halls, in theaters, in churches. They were held at almost 900 colleges. Somebody said to me this year that there's two things at every college now, a V-Day and a Starbucks, which I love. They were held by Latino women and African American women and Asian women and Native American women and Jewish women and Caucasian women, straight women and bi women and lesbian women and trans women. When people tell me there is no women's movement, I have no idea what they are talking about. Who are we in this room if we are not the women's movement? Who are all the women working for Planned Parenthood, now Feminist Majority, and the thousands of local groups that V-Day activists support across this country, if not a women's movement? Who are the women fighting in Occupy Wall Street for the voices and rights of women? Who are the groups insisting on a different version and portrayal of women in the media, if not a women's movement? Who are the thousands, if not billions, of vagina warriors in this country working every day to feed women, raise up women, protect women, educate women, defend women, and secure their rights, if not a women's movement? Who are all the women fighting for the dignity of women workers and teachers and nannies and nurses and domestic workers? Who are the women working in our prisons to free the thousands of women there who need education and healing and support rather than endless incarceration, if they are not a women's movement? And who are the women in our government, those rare and amazing congressional and senator women who actually are fighting for women's rights in the face of this insane pushback? Who are the funders who put their money on the line to support women's issues and programs and futures, if not a women's movement? And who are the women fighting for the protection and healing and honoring of women in the military suffering from military sexual trauma, if not the women's movement? Who are all the young teenage girls fighting online and in new groups to revision the way we perceive our bodies, or demanding sports for girls, or fighting against date rape, or blogging about their dreams, if not a women's movement? We don't need to create a women's movement. We need to actually recognize, value, and amplify the women's movement that already exists. We need to appreciate ourselves and see ourselves not through the divisive lens of patriarchy, but through the lens of sisterhood and unity. In the name of that, I thought I would share a few Vagina Miracles that happened this year. I once heard that a miracle was an amazing event that inspires faith, but sometimes I think our faith in our power in each other is what inspires miracles. So I want to talk about the first Vagina Miracle I saw this year, which happened on March 6th. There were 9 members of the European Parliament who came together to perform the Vagina monologues inside the European Parliament. It was one of the most profound things I have ever seen. I don't know if you've ever been in the European Parliament, but it's a rather stodgy, stuffy place. It's not a place you feel welcome, or let's put it this way, you don't feel like you always want to whisper there, you know? These women came from across parties, across countries, and they performed there for over 500 people, more people, I was told, than they've ever seen in the European Parliament. And those women were awesome. And when it came to the end of the show, and there were 9 women, 9 members of Parliament, performing orgasms in their various language inside the European Parliament, I knew the new time was being born. And after that, it was amazing, because the whole place changed. I saw what happened when it was like the vaginas stormed the Bastille, you know? It was delicious energy and including energy, and everyone was talking, and everyone felt the European Parliament actually belonged to them. And everyone had opinions, and everyone's opinions mattered, and it was just being in this delicious, warm, wonderful, welcoming place. I was in Niš, Serbia, and I've spent much time in the Balkans because this play and this movement actually began in Bosnia during the war, where they raped 20,000 to 40,000 women in the middle of Europe in 1994. And I went to Serbia for the first time, and in this little town called Niš, I arrived to the V-Day, and there were 600 women in a theater and a line around the block of people who couldn't get in. And I thought, Niš, Serbia. I didn't even know the name of this place 3 weeks ago. And there are 600 women standing up talking about their vaginas in Serbia, Croatian. I was in Johannesburg, and last summer we began Emotional Creature there, my new play, which is about teenage girls and about girls learning how to change the verb from please to defy or resist or rise up or invent, but anything but please. And it began in South Africa with an extraordinary cast of 7 girls. And these girls revolutionized their friends, and schools came every day, and they created this mini V-Girl revolution. And month or so ago, they marched in the streets with an emo echo march where they wore short skirts made out of recyclable material that said "mine" to stop the rape in South Africa. And now they are organizing and they are rising up teenage girls across Johannesburg. I want to just talk briefly about a woman named Agnes Pariah. She is one of my heroes. I met Agnes 10 years ago in the Rift Valley.